So we're looking at functional skills, level 2 English functional skills, reading section, and we're going to be looking at organisational features today. So we'll go through the same sort of layout as we do all the time. We'll go through the PowerPoints, look at some videos, and then we'll also, I'll go over the homework and possibly we'll work on one of the questions together. So to understand organisational features, I can't speak today, and use them to locate relevant information in a range of straightforward and complex sources. So that's what we're doing today. So our aims and outcomes for today. So by the end of this session, hopefully learners will be able to understand what the purpose of a text means, provide a clear explanation of the purpose of a text, use a range of language features and devices. You should also be able to identify a range of presentation features, so things like bullet points, titles, images, headings, and so on. Explain why presentation features are used in a text, and then you could be able to identify the use of pronouns, positive, negative language, and comparisons to underlying meaning. And then also be able to identify alliteration, similes, and metaphors. So don't worry if you're not 100% sure of these. We'll be going over each of these sections in detail. So when we're looking at text, we're just looking at a text. We don't actually mean like a text message or anything. We're looking at text as in written or printed documentation. So text can be a lot of things. It can be letters, emails, books, a form, leaflet, an article, a notice. So all of these things we've got here, it can be any of those, plus more. Now, when we're looking at text, we're looking at the purpose of these texts. So all texts have a purpose. So when there's a text that is there to persuade, it's there to persuade the users to do a particular thing or to get them to join in with something in particular. So if it's to say that we're going to have a rubbish picking event, they'll be doing a text to persuade you to join in. There's text to describe. So there's text that'll be there to describe how a particular thing works. There'll be text to instruct, and it tells you how to do a certain thing, to give you instructions. An explanation text is to explain a particular topic, like electricity. Why is green electricity good for consumers? And then texts are there to inform, to give you information about a particular topic. A text that will have the purpose of an argument is there to argue that a certain thing is a waste of money. So having solar panels is a waste of money. To have green electricity is a waste of money. So they're arguing that what you think is beneficial actually isn't. It's a waste of money. And then there'll be text there to advise you on something. So they'll be giving you advice, they'll be giving you information and telling you the benefits of a particular topic. So all of these are just like general purpose topics, purposes of these. But you need to actually be, so to either have a persuade, describe, instruct, it can be put onto any type of topic you want, but you need to be specific with the topic that you're talking about. If you're persuading someone, you just stick to persuasion. If you're explaining something, make sure you're doing an explanation. So in functional skills exam, in the reading exam that you're going to have, you're going to be asked to identify the main purpose of a text. So you might have seen we've gone through a fair amount of text when I'm setting you homework and activities. On those texts, there can be a lot of different purposes in them. So a text can have more than one purpose, but you need to focus on the main one. So focus on the main idea of what the main purpose is of that text and explain that. So don't know what this is happening here. Good morning, Lydia. Can you hear me? Hi, Lydia.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning. I'm sorry. I got some problem with the screen.
Oh, that's fine. No problem. You're here now. So we've only just made the start, so you've not really missed much. We're just talking about how organisational features of a text. So we looked at how a text might be, so a text is anything that's written. So it's things like newspaper articles, books, websites, all of those type of things, a report. And then we just talked about what the purpose of those is to give you information, to persuade you, to explain to you, to argue with you, and those on. So I'll just go over this little quick section here. So in the exam, in the reading exam, you're going to have to look at, one of the questions is going to be to identify the main purpose of a text. Now, a text can have more than one purpose, so you need to focus on the main one. So do make sure you focus on the main purpose and not any secondary ones, and give a full explanation. So when you're writing it, telling me writing down what the purpose of the text is, don't just write to persuade or to advise, because you won't get any marks with that. And then don't just write about the content. Don't just write the main purpose of the text is information about traffic regulations. Make sure you go into detail about it. Give some explanations. Go into a bit of detail. So working out the purpose of a text. So when you're trying to figure out what the purpose of this text is, just look at the type of text, look at its content, see its sentence structure, look at its style, its vocabulary. So look at everything that's to do with that text. Look at the format, look at the way the text is presented and structured, and then also think about who's its intended audience, and that will help you figure out what the purpose of that text is. So we're going to look at a video here. So again, I do apologize, you'll probably be able to see the video, but if you don't have any audio, please go back later on and watch these two videos. So brilliant. I also have one more video to show you, and this is about language features. So I'll play this now. So for the students that just joined us now or have come back or joined midway, we just looked at 2 videos. If you didn't get the audio, I know there's a bit of an issue where we normally can't get the audio.
Oh, that's no problem, yeah.
Yeah, but just please have a look after the lesson.
Okay.
So let's go back to here. So for language features and devices, now we're just going to look at what these are here. So when we're looking at language features and devices, you might be asked to identify some language features and see what they actually mean. So you've got alliterations, you've got cliches, you've got command, direct address, use of personal pronouns, got direct speech, emotive language, got exaggeration or hyperbole, you got metaphors and similes, you got repetition, rhetorical questions, rule of 3, and positive language. And if you're not 100% sure of these, don't worry, we're going to go over each one on the next slides. So an alliteration is where the first sound of each word is repeated across a number of words. So you've got things like simply, sensational, suits. You've got the sound at the beginning, so on that. Then you've got funky, flexible, phone plans. Now, even though these are P's, the P and the H still make the sound on there. So funky, flexible, phone. Those 3 are the same sound. Then lovely, long, limousine. So it's the first word, the first letter of each word has the same sound. So L, L, so again, and then can anyone think of an example of an alliteration where using the same sound to create a sentence or a saying? I can help you with this then, if you're not 100% sure. So alliteration.
Whole and whole.
What was it again? Say it again, please.
I said whole, like WHOLE.
Yeah.
Whole. And then whole, HOLE.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that would work because it's still the same sound, isn't it? Even though you've got the spellings are slightly different, the sound is the same. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there are other examples where you could have things like cherry cookies. You know, so even though they've got the same thing on there, you've got Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. All of it is starting with the P on that. And then black bug bit a big black bear. So you've got the B sound in that again. And then sheep should sleep in a shed. You still got the sound in those. So anything that is repeated with the same sound over and over again in that sentence or in that saying. Then you got cliches. So cliches are things that are like just sayings or words, you know, things that are said so regularly that you're like, oh, this is a cliche, that is. So you've got over the moon, frightened to death, and every cloud has a silver lining. Does anybody have any other examples of a cliche? I can tell you what I like. There's one that I like. Is So with experience comes wisdom, and with wisdom comes experience. So these cliches are just things that you probably heard over and over and over again, and they just said again and again and again. Then you got commands. So commands are sentences that, you know, give you a direction. So they can start with a verb, and normally it's things like you in those. So they're sometimes followed by exclamation marks, and this is to make them imperative, to make them like, you know, very focused, as if they're putting the mood on. So sentences that could be like a command are get out, or give me your phone number, or buy today, pay tomorrow, and then put the shirt in the washing machine. I mean, I pretty think on a normal daily basis with your families and your children, you're normally doing like command words. Again, I'm always saying to my eldest child, get off your phone. So you can understand that it would be like an exclamation mark if I was writing it down, because I'm saying, get off that phone right now. So is anybody got an example of a command that said that they use?
Wash your hands.
Yeah. I'm always saying to my daughter, put your mask on whenever we're in shops, because she hates putting it on. So these little things that you're using on a daily basis, you'll know that they're a command. You're telling someone something to do. You're giving them a direction. Then you've got direct address. So this is where a second person will say you are the person's name to speak. So things like, from the moment you step through the door, you can't help but relax. So this is me talking about I might be selling something or saying, come to my hotel and relax and so on. So, or you've got to see it to believe it. And you're going to love our new menu. So they're talking about you. It's a second person. It's direct address. So when you look at these, you think that that person is talking directly to you. Has anybody got an example they can give me where you can use something like this for direct address? I've got one where you can do, for example, if you want to go to a theme park and you're trying to, I've gone to a theme park today and I really enjoyed it, and I'm talking to my friend, I'm like, oh, you'll love it. When you go to see it, you're going to love all those rides. It's amazing. So that's me directly addressing that person, telling that they're going to love something in particular when they go to see it. And then we've got use of personal pronouns. So these are there to create a connection or a disconnection with someone, and they can be used positively and negatively, and sometimes they can convey bias as well. So examples of this this is my chance to shine, or the running of the PowerPoint was their responsibility and no one else's. So if you see on here, they've got those personal pronouns where they're directly referring to yourself or to someone else. And then if you're trying to be serious, have a serious talk with someone, like, this is your future they're talking about, things like that. And then we've got direct speech. So direct speech is a quotation, and then they're saying it using speech marks. So in most of the activities that you've seen, you will have seen some text. There's direct quotes, and then you'll have the speech marks on there. So it's an amazing invention, said the entrepreneur. So this is him talking about himself. And then the company claimed to offer the fastest service in town. And then you can tell the writer is doubtful, as he says. This is someone conveying that they're writer. If you can believe what they say. So can anybody think of any type of direct speech that you might have seen in a newspaper or in an activity or anything recently, or even heard on TV? If you remember, a few weeks ago, I gave you an activity about a young girl who was now going to play for the World Cups and football, and there was a particular there was direct speech in there as well. So this is for the students that have been with me from the beginning. It had something like a speech where she said, "I can't stop pinching myself. It's amazing that I can't believe I've got these opportunities." So it said where I can't stop pinching myself. That was her giving direct speech. So that was an example of direct speech there. Then you've got emotive language. So emotive language is when the writer uses languages to get an emotional reaction. So it's to help you feel empathy. So an example of that would be, can you really abandon these poor kittens to a terrible fate? So it's really asking you, will you really let them go? Are you going to leave them? Are you going to leave them to die? And then also to make the reader feel angry as well. So that monstrous action devastated the life of an innocent woman. So these can actually make you feel really upset or sad for someone, or feel like, oh, we can't do this, or they can make you feel really angry about a particular thing that's happened. And again, it can also make you feel happy about things, because it depends on what sort of emotive language you're using. Are you doing it to make someone sad, make someone angry, make someone happy? And then you've got exaggeration and hyperbole. So an exaggeration is when someone, or a hyperbole is when someone is overemphasizing something, they're going over the top. So when somebody might be a little bit hungry, or they might be hungry in general, and then they're saying, I am so hungry I could eat a horse. Or they're saying, I am starving. And then they could also say, I could sleep forever. So those are some examples of what an exaggeration and hyperbole, they're more or less the same things then too. And then we've got metaphors and similes. Now metaphors and similes are quite similar with each other. So a metaphor is when one thing is compared to another by saying it's something else. So metaphor is comparing one thing to another thing. So like, this desert is heaven, or love is a battlefield. And then there's a couple of other examples that can be used for that as well. So see if Lydia can make it in. Okay. So, and then a simile is when you're comparing one thing with another thing, and you're using words like or as. So as clear as mud, or she has eyes like a hawk. Or I think other examples could be brave as a lion, or as scared as a cat. And then a metaphor is like, for example, if somebody's broken up with was a young man who's broken up with his girlfriend, and you say his heart was breaking. So you know, a metaphor is when you're comparing one thing to another thing, and then a simile is where you're comparing one thing that's to another thing, but they're not the same. And then repetition. So repetition can take place when they're trying to really focus on something, get it into your head. So when you're repeating a word or a phrase for emphasis. So we can win this game, we can win this match, we can win this tournament. So you're doing we can win, we can win, we can win 3 times. Or I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't even breathe. And then you're doing recycle glass, recycle plastic, recycle cardboard. So it's really drumming into your head to recycle. And you're really finding out this person can't eat, sleep, or breathe. And then a rhetorical question is a question that isn't intended to be answered. So it's a question that is asked, but no one is actually expecting you to actually answer it. So it's just there to help the reader engage with the text. So it's like, do dogs bark? Or do you want poverty to end? Or how should I know? Or things like, do you want to lose weight? Do you want to get motivated? So that's what a rhetorical question is, where they ask a question, but they don't actually expect an answer. And then the rule of 3 is where you're using 3 consecutive words or phrases for effect. So you're doing I came, I saw, I conquered. Then you got stop, look, listen. That's normally for children when they're learning to cross roads. And then in law, if you're in a court case or something, we've got that's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And then if you might have seen around, it was quite a craze a little while ago, and it's still out there, where they're doing those shirts where they go eat, sleep, repeat, you know, or things with game, sleep, repeat, and those type of things over and over again. And then for the last little section on these words, positive and negative language. So writers can use positive or negative language, and it really leads the reader in the direction that they want to go there. So they use strong adjectives, or they'll make comparisons. So they've got things like Alison Humphreys would make an imperious prime minister. So this is them wanting to show you that Alison Humphreys is fantastic. She would be fantastic prime minister. That it would be amazing if she was made it. And then Exval Industry had made an egregious error. So they made a very bad error. It was horrible. It was nasty. How could they do that? That's them using negative language there. And then look at the standard of living now in contrast to that of the 1970s, and the average consumer is quids in. So this is positive language. They're comparing it to in the 1970s, and they're saying that we've got more money now than people did in the 1970s. Now, can you think of an example of positive language? Something that you'll say to make someone feel positive. Okay, I'm going to ask Ben. I'm going to pick on you now. So can you think of an example of positive language?
Something like work harder, you will pass. I don't know.
Yeah, that is, because you're encouraging them, but you're also being positive with them as well. That's fantastic. And then I think, have I got a Clifford here as well today? That's fine. I'll think. Nancy, could you unmute yourself and give me an example of negative language, please? So something that you say to make someone feel down or bad, or say that was horrible.
Try to come up with a sentence.
I can give you. I'll give you one, and maybe that will help. So when you might be putting a picture in the wall, and I'll say that nail that you're banging in the wall, it's not going to hold your mirror. So it's me giving you negative language or something in that type of aspect. Or even things like, if you smoke, you're going to die. That type of thing is where or if you stick your fingers in your nose, everyone's going to think you're disgusting. That's negative language, isn't it? That type of stuff. Yeah. Now, positive language as well, I've got an example. Is someone who being overly positive, they'll be like, oh, in 3 years, everybody's going to be happy. Or you're going to love playing in the park. So really, everybody does use positive and negative language on a daily basis. It's just that we don't identify that we're doing it because it is a norm for us. So brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody. So we're going to do match the language feature, and as you can see, the answers are already there. So we'll just go through them. So we've got metaphors. So a metaphor is, this sentence would be, his room was a prison, because they're comparing his room and a prison with each other. So they've got that and that are being compared. Then you've got an alliteration. So a sinister smile spread across his face. So you got that at the beginning. So these three words had the same sound. Then you got a command. So you got, come here now. This is them commanding someone to come here right now. And you got that exclamation mark to really punch that idea in. Then you got a, where's my arrow? Go there. Then you got a simile. So something where you're comparing one thing to another. So as light as a feather. And then you've got a rhetorical question, which is, can't you do anything right? So you're not actually looking for an answer here. You're just saying, can't you do anything right? You might be frustrated, they're doing everything wrong, and you really don't want them to answer you. So, and then we're going to look at these. So the language feature on this is, so it's going to be fun, fun, fun. That's repetition, isn't it? It's because you're repeating the same word over and over. You got fun, fun, fun 3 times. And then this is madness. So that's an exaggeration. Or you'll love our delicious breakfast. That's a direct address because they got you. You will love our direct. And then you've got it's raining cats and dogs. It's cliche because it's not actually raining cats and dogs. You've not got cats and dogs flying out of the sky. It's just that it's raining so heavily, you say it's raining cats and dogs. And then the victims were subjected to a cowardly assault. So you've got cowardly is emotive language there. Got the victims to show that those people that had that assault done to them were victims. So you've got emotive language to make you feel strongly towards something, feel hot, feel angry at the people who assaulted these victims, and also feel really bad that something happened to these people. And then we have presentation features. So you're going to see a text. It's not just going to be all writing because that would be completely boring. It's sometimes you'll see a lot of different presentation features within those. So you might see statistics or diagrams, you might see tables and text boxes to split information up and to make it much easier to look at, to be honest. And then they can put the information across in nicer ways. You might have pictures and you might have captions to go with the pictures. You might have headings, which are nice and big and bold, and then you might have a smaller subheading, which still stands out, still a bit bigger than the normal text, but you know that this is what we're talking about now. Bullet points to feature information, numbered lists, so that could be things like in, what do you call them, recipes and so on, or step-by-step guides. And then you can have website menus where you might have a drop-down. Even on our Moodle here, we've got website menu. So it's this here, the drop-down that we look at. So that's what we mean when we talk about those. Then you've got examples of what statistics and tables, charts, diagrams look at. So these can be things like statistics, appendixes, charts, diagrams on here. You've got pictures of images. So you've got an image of the Titanic and then you've got information about it. So the picture shows you what you're talking about and then the caption is there just to explain what you're looking at. Then you've got headings. So you've got the heading over here. And this again is fantastic use for splitting information up. So you've got the law, and you're talking about 2 different items within the law. You're talking about possession, and you're talking about dealing, and those are subheadings underneath it. It's still bigger. It's still more, it's in a different color text. Sometimes it can be same color, bold, larger font, but it still splits the information up for you, and it makes it much easier to read. So if you want to focus on one section, you do. If not, you go on the next. Again, it just splits the information. Then you've got lists. So you've got bullet points to draw attention. You've got number lists when you've got certain items that you need to do in a particular order, like for recipes and instructions of when you're making a particular item. So if you see here, you've got bullet points here telling you what ingredients need to be used. And then you've got numbered lists here telling you which order to do things in. So this particular recipe has got both on that. Then it's got subheadings on here as well, because you would have had the heading up here telling us what you're actually making, and that would be the subheading underneath. So it's got a lot of features within this text itself. Then website menus, like I just showed you, we have that drop-down list where you can do search. You've got search features, you've got section titles, you've got links to a homepage or particular, if you're going on Moodle on here, you'll probably have links. I'll show you what I mean actually. Let's click on there. So here You can click on any of these here and you've got a link to, these are all of my recently accessed courses that I've been in. So I can click on any of these and I'd have a link straight towards them. You've got your website menus over here. So it's got a load of, that's what we mean when we're talking about the website features and menus. So coming into text and presentation features. So sometimes writers will use these features to give you information. So they'll have subheadings. This will help you to identify topics and also to skim and scan your text. So you're not having to read through every single point to get to somewhere. You know that this heading is what I'm focusing on. They'll have different fonts. So they might be used to show different topics, or they might use something italics or a different font to focus on something, that a bit of extra information. They can use bolds and italics to show something that's important and to put things in a glossary. Bullet points to bring key information to your attention, and then numbering to show you what the order of things are. So organizational features, again, you can have diagrams. It helps you get a better understanding when you're looking at a picture or a drawing. So, a drawing of something. So if you're talking about how to attach the handlebars onto a scooter, if there's a drawing showing you how to do it, then it gives you a better understanding. You get graphs and charts. It gives you a good understanding of like number data, numerical data, and complex, complicated data that is being added. Then you have images. It just shows you what we're looking at. So I think last week we were looking at some reference features for our reading lesson. And in that we had a caption about a man wanting to lose weight, and he was suggested that he go cycling around a particular route, and he showed us a map of the route that he was taking. So that type of thing where you had that text there, but you had the map to show, right, oh yeah, this is what he's talking about. This is the route he took. Then you got captions. These are a bit of information under an image. And then you've got labels. So they normally just label information, a map or an image or particular parts of data. So could you all unmute yourself, please? And I'd like you to take part in this quiz. Fantastic, thank you. So if you're all ready, we've got 3 questions today. So the quiz for this is, what is the main purpose of a text? Is it A, language of a text, B, how text is set out, C, the detail in a text, or D, the reason a text is written? So what do you think?
D.
D, yeah. Let's see. I think so too. And yes, you're right. It is the main purpose of a text and why it is written. So well done. So number 2, what is a language feature? The way language is used in a text to achieve an effect, the spelling in a text, the main aim of a text, or the way a text is structured?
A.
Yes, well done. I agree with you totally. The way language is used. Let's double check. And it is. Well done. You're on fire today. Good one. And then last one. What is a presentation feature? Is it A, paragraphs, B, the words on the page, C, what the texts are about, or D, the way the text is set out on a page? Remember, think about presentation. What do you look at when you look at presentation? You're not just looking at one thing, you're looking at everything all together.
C.
Yes, well done. So the way the text is set out, so way the things are set out on the page, that is a presentation feature. Fantastic. Well done. I know we had a lot of talking going on today with this, but now by the end of this session, I hope you'll understand what the main purpose of a text means. I hope you'll be able to provide a clear explanation of the purpose of a text, use different language features and devices. You should be able to identify a range of presentation features like bullet points, images, headings, titles, and so on. explain why presentation features are used in a text, and then also look at pronouns, so positive and negative language, and then also be able to know what alliteration and similes are. Now, just so you know what some of these things are, I had planned on letting you know what a couple of these things mean. Is everybody familiar with what a pronoun is? Or would you like me to explain?
Pronoun is replacement of a noun.
Yes, well done. Yeah, so his, hers, mine, yours, well done. And alliteration we've gone over. So letters that will sound the same. So Peter, Piper, slippery snake, and those type of things. Similes are when you're comparing one thing to another, but they're not the same. So you're as brave as a lion, or you're scared as a cat, or as strong as an ox. And a metaphor is when you're comparing, making a comparison between two things that might have the same characteristic. So you might look at your child and say, you are my sunshine. So you know the sun is bright, you know you feel the same about your child. Or you might be at work and you might be busy and you say time is money. You know, that type of things on there. So Pauline, I just want to go over the homework with you. And I thought we could answer one of the sections together. I've already emailed this to everyone, so it should be in your folders. Now, we go over language features, just going over alliterations, cliches, direct address, and so on. Just telling you what these things are, and it's got examples as well. So it's a nice recap on what we've done. Then you've got this activity now. Some of you will actually recognize that we've looked at this particular advertisement before. So it's join in and get fit. So we're going to read this text and then we're going to answer the questions. So what I want you to do is go over this later on in your own time as well, but we'll work on it together now, and I might just read it out for us. We've got 10 minutes. So we're going to answer these questions. What language features can you find in text 1 and how do they affect the reader? So we'll go over that in a moment. 1B, I want you to read that again. So read the text and it's a review and I want you to answer the questions. And the questions are, what language features can you find in the text and how do they affect the reader? So as you can see with the lines, we want a detailed answer here. Number 2, what do you think the writer means by when he put his family, home and business on the line? And then number 3. So one activity I'll do with you, the other 2 you can do yourself. So I'm going to go a quick read of this and then we're going to see what sort of, we'll answer the first one together. Okay, so join in and get fit. Interested in having fun and getting in shape, looking to make new friends? Then why not join your local specialist aerobics club? Beaconfield Aerobics has group meetings every night of the week at 7 p.m. in the community centre on Beaconfield Road. So why aerobics? So aerobics is a high-energy class with fast-paced movements, sequences and steps. It's a great fat-burning activity and improves stamina and muscle tone. It might not be as trendy as Zumba or yoga, but aerobics is still a brilliant way to burn calories, improve stamina, condition muscle and strengthen bones. An aerobics class is guaranteed to leave you in a good mood too. Although the aerobics routines are set to work you hard, the atmosphere is always fun and relaxed. And thanks to the upbeat chart hits and the uplifting endorphins released in the brain when you work out, aerobics is the ultimate stress buster. So we go on to say, our hobby involves working up a sweat to some of your favourite songs. It is suitable for all ages and abilities and offers a great way to relax. By joining in one or more classes a week, you are taking a positive step to get a fitter way of life and you're likely to make fantastic friends too. All you need is a decent pair of trainers and some exercise clothes. And then over the past year, club highlights have included a dance-a-thon where we raised £750 for local charities, the introduction of a new range of classes with the stepper and light dumbbells, Aerobics on tour. A group of intrepid members went to Brussels for a 4-day fitness break. A well-attended open day where lots of people had fun trying out different taster classes and enjoyed a healthy lunch. And we are a friendly club united by our love for fun fitness. There are classes for every ability and they're all taught by expert fitness trainers. And then to join us, ring Joe on the following number. So this is what you'll go over. Now, just to give you an idea of what sort of answers I'm looking for, and also what sort of answers you'll need to, what sort of detail you'll need to go in your tests. I thought we'd do this together. So when we're doing this, I want you to add things like that. What are the language features? They've got commands on here. So they've got a command, and that is this part here. It says, come and, so join in and get fit. That is a command. They're telling you to come, join in, get fit. It's got an exclamation mark. So you'd put that down there. So this is a command. Then, if you look further up, they've also got a rhetorical question where they're asking you a question, but they don't necessarily, you're not going to sit there and say, actually, yes, I am interested in getting fit. You're just going to read it out. So this part here is rhetorical because they've asked a question, but they really can't expect an answer. So I'll put rhetorical here. So you're identifying what the features are, but then you're also explaining where you're getting them from. What is the actual feature? And then they've got exaggerations in here, what I noticed. So let me find where the exaggerations is. I remember it saying aerobics class is guaranteed to... there you go. An aerobics guarantee class is guaranteed to leave you in a good mood too. So that is an exaggeration because some people like exercise, some people don't. Some people might get a bit moody after they've exercised. How do you know it's going to leave you in a good mood? So that's a bit of an exaggeration there. So do you get what sort of things I'm looking for here? And then there was something about ultimate stress booster as well. That was a bit of an exaggeration as well. Oh, there, stress buster. There you go. So aerobics is the ultimate stress buster. And then finally, there's a couple of other things. They've got direct address on this. They've got emotive on this as well. So again, so you're just going to look at a few different things. You're going to look at well, a direct address. It's just a good idea for you to know. You're likely to, something about friends I remember seeing in here. You're likely to make friends too. So our hobbies involved. So it was something about you're likely to make friends too. I can't find it in there now. To make friends too. So you've got all these things because it's telling you that you're going to make some friends if you come in here. And then it says, although aerobics are set out to work you hard, oh, there it is. You're likely to make fantastic friends too. There. So that was where it was. So you've got a few features in here. You've got commands. They're telling you to come and join in. They've got rhetorical questions. They've got exaggerations. They've got direct address. You've got some emotive language going on in here. So this say where aerobics classes will work you hard. So you know that you're going to get worked hard in those. So that is what we're looking for. So when you do look at the language features, identify which different features they are and then give an example of them. And it's the same sort of layout for the others. but you're talking about what features you've got, and then you're also talking about how are they affecting the reader. So make sure you add a couple of sentences in what sort of emotions or what sort of, are they persuading someone, what are they doing to that reader there. So you've got another 2 texts, we've got done the first one together. So brilliant, I'm going to turn the recording off.